so far. If you haven't been watching, I recommend you do. Although there have been 3-0-0 draws, so if you're not into soccer and you get unlucky with the games, it may be a bit boring, but some good games, some good upsets so far already. But this is an NFL video, so we won't get too carried away with that. We will get straight into the recap. We have our trusty notebook here, as always, and we will open to a fresh page. There we go. On Thursday, we had the Titans versus the Packers. The Titans won 27-17. The Titans are now 7-3, and the Packers are 4-7. Ryan Tannehill threw for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry rushed for 87 yards and a touchdown. And Treylon Burks had 7 catches for 111 yards to lead the game. Next was Jets-Patriots. The Patriots won this game 10-3. This was one of the more boring games I've ever watched right up until the last moments. It was 3-3 for most of the game, and then the Patriots returned a punt for a touchdown with like 15 seconds left. Definitely one of the more wild finishes I've seen from a Patriots game, but also one of the more boring games in totality. But glad they got the win there. Both teams are now 6-4. Mac Jones led the game with 246 passing yards. Damian Harris had 65 rushing yards. And Ramondre Stevenson led the game with 56 receiving yards. And Zach Wilson claims to have not let his defense down. Just thought that was funny. Bears vs. Falcons is next. The Falcons won 27-24. The Bears are now 3-8 and the Falcons are 5-6. Justin Fields had 153 passing yards and a touchdown. He also led the game in rushing yards with 85 and a touchdown. And David Montgomery led the game with 54 receiving yards. Browns-Bills is next. The Bills won 31-23. The Browns are 3-7 and the Bills are 7-3. Jacoby Brissett had 324 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Devin Singletary had 86 yards and 1 touchdown. And Amari Cooper had 113 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. This game was, of course, Steelers played in Detroit instead of Buffalo because of the massive snowstorm there. And if you watched any of the early games, they probably showed the scene from Buffalo, and it was pretty wild how much snow there was. Next is Eagles-Colts. Eagles barely squeaked out a victory here, 17-16. The Eagles are 9-1, and the Colts are 4-6-1. Matt Ryan led the game with 213 passing yards. Jalen Hurts had 86 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Devontae Smith led the game in receiving yards with 78. Next is Rams Saints. The Saints won 27-20. The Rams are now 3-7, and the Saints are 4-7. Andy Dalton had 260 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Cam Akers had 14 carries for 61 yards, which apparently was enough to get other running back Darrell Henderson cut. I believe that was like last night he got cut. That was an interesting move by the Rams. And Chris Olave had 102 receiving yards and 1 touchdown to continue his pretty good rookie season. I think Matt Stafford went back into concussion protocol during this game, so we'll see what he does, see if he plays next week, and the Rams season just continues to get worse and worse. Next is Lions-Giants. The Lions won 31-18. The Lions are now 4-6, and the Giants are 7-3. Daniel Jones had 341 yards and a touchdown, but I also think he threw 2 interceptions that game. Justin Jackson led the game with 66 rushing yards, although Jamal Williams had, I think, 3 rushing touchdowns for the Lions. And Wan'Dale Robinson, rookie for the Giants, had 100 yards on 9 catches, but also tore his ACL in this game, so he will unfortunately be out for the rest of the year after his best game as a pro. Panthers-Ravens is next. Panthers lost 13-3. Panthers are now 3-8, and the Ravens are 7-3. Very low scoring in this one. It was 3-3 up until kind of the end of the fourth quarter, and the Ravens scored 10 pretty quick points to take the big lead, but pretty close game actually overall. Lamar Jackson had 209 passing yards and an interception. Kenyon Drake had 46 rushing yards on 10 carries. And Robinson had 128 receiving yards to lead the game for the Ravens. Commanders-Texans was next. The Commanders won 23-10. They 6-5, and the Texans are 1-8-1. Taylor Heineke continued his good stretch of winning football, but he only threw for 191 yards. He still led the game. Antonio Gibson had 72 rushing yards, and Brandon Cooks led the game with 70 receiving yards. Raiders Broncos is next. The Raiders won 22-16 in overtime. Both teams are now 3-7. I keep mentioning this. The Broncos now would be 9-1 if they scored just 18 points in regulation every game they played, but instead they're 3-7. Pretty wild. Derek Carr had 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs had 109 rushing yards. And Devontae Adams had 141 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. The Broncos also cut running back Melvin Gordon after the game. I think he had a big fumble in this one, and so they cut him after the game. Next was probably the surprise of the week, the Cowboys-Vikings. The Cowboys winning this one 40-3. Just crushing the Vikings in this one. I did predict the Cowboys to win in my video last week, but I did not expect it to be this lopsided. The Cowboys are now 7-3, and the Vikings are 8-2. Dak Prescott had 276 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard had 80 rushing yards. And Pollard also had 109 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the game in receiving. Next was Bengals-Steelers. Bengals won 37-30. They are now 6-4, and the Steelers are 3-7. Joe Burrow had 355 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Najee Harris had 90 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And T. Higgins had 148 receiving yards. Chiefs-Chargers was next, the Sunday night game. And the Chiefs pulled out a 30-27 victory. I feel like I predicted Chargers like 30-27, so it'd be kind of funny if it was the opposite. The Chiefs are now 8-2, and the Chargers are 5-5. Patrick Mahomes led the game with 329 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Also had a game-winning touchdown drive with, I think, like 40 seconds left to win the game for the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco had 107 rushing yards. And Travis Kelce continues to be a monster with 115 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Last but not least, the Monday night game was 49ers-Cardinals. The 49ers won 38-10. 6-4, and the Cardinals are 4-7. Jimmy Garoppolo had 228 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Elijah Mitchell led the game in rushing with 59 yards. And Greg Dortch of the Cardinals had 103 receiving yards to lead the game. The teams on bye were the Dolphins, Seahawks, Buccaneers, and Jaguars. That is it for the Week 11 games, the Week 11 recap. I should have the Week 12 predictions either out today or maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I don't know if I'll have time to upload, so I might be just uploading both of them today. But either way, that will be coming out soon. Thank you for watching, as always. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy holidays. I will see you